feel like we've given CGC a lot of grace. A lot of grace.
Yes, they're messing up our books.
I think it's time to like hold them accountable for it. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Comic Room Pod, issue number 10. Honestly, maybe even issue number 9, depending what time we finish. Just because of the relevancy of what we're talking about, I might just swap
Oh, yeah, we could do that.
info.
Yeah, last episode, which is supposed to drop on Monday, is not time sensitive. We're talking
No.
about just a general comic. So maybe.
Yeah.
So
It's
could
just
be
a
9,
matter
could be
of,
10. Yeah.
it's just a matter of if I'd be able to get through it in 12 hours.
Ooh. Yeah, that's right. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. So we're recording actually a little bit earlier than we normally would because I'm going out of town this week. So we need to record. I need to edit before
Right.
I leave. So yeah, but hey.
But we're keeping our keeping our drop schedule
Yeah,
going.
exactly. So Monday is the day. Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Well, my mom heard me say that she'd get mad. I'm doing well. I'm doing good. I'm doing well.
No matter how many degrees, fancy degrees you have, even your mom's going to get on you for saying well.
I should change my name to Dr. Longbox. That would be actually pretty cool.
Let people know. Let them know.
Let them know what's up.
But welcome to whatever episode this is. You'll know by the time it comes out.
Yep.
I don't know what it is, but welcome. First thing on the docket is we have a Discord. It is the Spro's Comics Community Discord. So all things related to the channel is there. But more importantly, it's just a place to hang out with other collectors, talk comics. We've already had some cool conversations. Somebody yesterday flexed their original art that they got in the mail call section.
I got to check that out.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother realm of the comic book world that I've only viewed from afar.
The thing with original art is if I were to get it, I would only want like a Frank Miller Daredevil run, a Chichetto, who was the artist on Zdarsky's earlier part, a Chichetto Daredevil, which is just stupid expensive.
Yeah, you just...
And where am I going to put it?
It's a mortgage, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, probably not. But yeah, so if you want to show off stuff you got.
Yeah, totally. That's definitely a good use of the
place.
Discord.
Nobody's going to get mad at you for flexing.
No, it's totally fun. Please flex.
Everybody wants to see it. Yeah. So if that sounds like something you want to be a part of, link is in the description for that. Check us both out on Instagram at Spros_comics, at Mr.Longbox. And I feel like there's one more thing.
I don't know. Check your notes.
Let's
we
see.
actually do plan these things out, you know?
If you want to see more longer episodes, then you can hit the little join button that's just below if you're on desktop. If you're on mobile, it's somewhere around there. I don't really know where. I think it's also in the same spot that you'd find it. It's near the subscribe button. But you hit that join button. It's a few dollars a month. You'll get access to extended videos that's we've been uploading to the Patreon. We're now uploading here to YouTube. So you get to see that. You'll get early access to the video. So essentially, as soon as I upload the video to YouTube, I will make it accessible to members. And then it'll drop to the public at the same scheduled time. So just depending on my schedule, that could be as early as like a Friday, or it could be as late as 3 hours before the scheduled drop time. So it really just depends.
Keep it real.
And then there might even be some videos that like non-pod videos that I make that I just don't really want to make public. So I'll drop those in the members only. Maybe even, I'm sure there'll even be conversations where we have here where we're like,
yeah, maybe
not public, but maybe we'll just let the members see it type thing. So yeah, and it's just a great way to support us. So if that's something that you're interested in,
there you go.
Check it out. And so let us get into show and tell. And Who do I have going first? I think I'm like, I need to memorize this thing. I'm not.
I had to go back and look to see which books have I done show and tell with, because there were a few that I was sure I'd already done it, but I haven't yet. So
Oh, you know what? Yeah, we should have like a spreadsheet.
yes,
Yeah, we should do that.
we'll do that. Put that on the list.
Yeah. All right. So I'll go first. So this book is a book that came in yesterday. We recorded Wednesday. Today's Sunday. Tomorrow's Monday. That's how weeks work.
Yep. In Universe 661.
Yeah. So this is we recorded an episode on Wednesday. We talked about something in the sleeper head scratcher. You talked about something more specifically. And I just did some online gallivanting, I guess you could say. And it led me down a path of purchasing. And so I bought something, and I didn't think it was going to come in time for this, but it did, because it was shipped from all the way across the country. So
props to the seller, because I'm still waiting on some stuff that I bought a lot later than that.
I think I bought this Thursday, maybe late Wednesday night. I don't really remember.
Yeah, give that guy a gold star, man.
Yeah, I did.
I mean, wow. He must have dropped it off like that day or something. Anyway.
The early morning, probably.
Props.
So, yeah, I got it in. And this show and tell, I know you guys are like, dude, stop yapping and show us the book already. I will. Trust me. I need to hype it up a little bit. This show and tell is also a testament to the head scratchers and sleepers that we do. Okay, when we give you guys sleepers, when we tell you guys that these are books that are slept on, underrated, or that are just cold at the moment and we think will heat back up, we put our money where our mouth is.
It's just sometimes to a fault. Like
I know. I was looking at this book last night because I love it, and I literally thought to myself, we need to stop with the sleepers, because I can't. I don't think I can afford this.
I know I'm buying your sleepers. You're buying my sleepers. I'm buying my own sleepers.
So this book is a one of a kind. Just wipe this down. I forgot to do it before. This book right here is Punisher vs. Daredevil #1. Marvel Comics, released in June of 2000. This reprints Daredevil 183, 184, and 257, which is iconically the Daredevil Punisher crossovers. This is a yellow CGC Signature Series slab signed by Frank Miller, Charlie Cox, and John Bernthal.
It's just gorgeous.
So gorgeous. Frank Miller down here. I believe this is Charlie Cox, and this is John Bernthal. So
it's beautiful.
That's 3 signatures. I believe that I just severely underpaid for that book. I don't know why this book with those signatures is that cheap. I mean, I understand it's not Daredevil 183 or 184, 257. Like, I don't think it matters that it's the original. Like, it is the 3. Like, to get those 3 signatures, the same colored Sharpie on the same book is like props to whoever did the work.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that they sold it. I don't know why they got rid of it.
Yeah. Well, good for you they did, because now you have it.
Yeah, I'm
for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I'm stoked. This genuinely might be my favorite book in my collection at the moment.
I love how the skull is, and it's no mistake, it's reminiscent of Punch Comics 12, that Golden Age book. I mean, it has the black cover, the white skull, and it's even how rugged the skull looks.
Yeah,
it's very, very reminiscent of that.
Yeah, it is a beautiful book. I love the Daredevil just front and center on the skull. Yeah, it's a beautiful book. So,
I mean, I suppose that's the Punisher logo. Everybody knows that, but maybe is the Punisher logo an homage to it couldn't be.
No, I doubt it.
Come on, but that's just unbelievable.
Yeah,
triple signed. So if this one drops before the other one, the people will have no idea what my sleeper was that led to this. But if this drops the regular time, we could. Well, it doesn't really matter. But my sleeper last week was a Miller book with a great cover that I suggested get him to get a signature on it if you could.
Yeah.
And then so here's how it went. I'm at home. We had recorded. I go home.
So it was Wednesday when I bought
it was the same night, and I'm hanging out with my wife, and I look at my phone, and it's just like, dude, you won't believe what I just bought.
I think it was OMG.
Yeah, OMG. I just bought a huge book, and I'm like, what is it? And then you told me what it was, and then you said, you set me on down this path, because as soon as you left, I started looking up Miller signed, Cox, whatever it was, and so. I don't know if I should take credit or blame. I'm not sure which one it is, but no, I think with that is actually absolutely credit. Yeah. You will never see that book again.
No, this is on this book. This is the only book triple signed. This is the highest grade signed. There's some others that are signed by Miller and some by just John Bernthal. But yeah, it's
what's the date of the signature? When did they sign it?
2016. So about the time that the show was like...
Did they all sign it at the same time, or did they sign it different days?
A few days apart. So this was like... So Frank Miller, March 24th, 2016. Charlie Cox, April 2nd, 2016. John Bernthal, April 8th, 2016. So I'm just curious how it all worked out. Because how do you... this is signature series, not authenticated.
So it was witnessed.
Yeah,
all three were witnessed separately, obviously.
Because there's 3 different days.
Let me think. Yeah, of course. Yeah, there are separate days. Does that? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure the story. I guess it could be that it was at CGC and they had all 3 of these guys and they came at different times, or it could have been at a convention, or
that's what I'm thinking is if it's at a convention or if it's at CGC, those are crazy kind of back to backs to have like that. That's just a lot of work. I feel like you don't see signature.
Okay. So this is funny. I'm preparing to teach a class on detective fiction this semester. It's the first time I've taught it. So I read a ton of detective fiction this summer. So my brain is thinking differently. I'm I found clues, and I'm thinking of the not obvious reasons why. And one just popped into my head just now. What if the person who got this triple signed just happens to be a CGC authenticator?
I guess it could be.
So they could have found him on a subway for that matter. It doesn't really matter. Obviously that's not going to happen. But
I'm sure they probably.
That's a very remote thing. But if you were writing this into a mystery novel, you might that might be the thing.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is
you're like, yeah, okay, Bob, whatever. Let's move on.
What I'm thinking is Frank Miller was a few weeks before, or a week and a half, 2 weeks before Charlie Cox and John Bernthal. So I think Frank Miller was kind of his own thing. He got that signed. And I think this guy got it signed in person because he brought the same marker.
That is a good clue.
So I don't think he submitted it into a thing. So
and Miller signed in the prominent spot. So I think it's fair to say he signed it first.
Yeah. So March 24th kind of sounds like an Easter time, maybe. I would have to look at... we could check right now.
So...
March 24th.
Signed by the artist. Well, I just want to take a look at this for a second.
2016.
I know you guys are like, wow, this is interesting. We're tuning in for the sleuthing of how this thing was signed. So, I mean, I'm acting like I've deduced something. Frank Miller must have been the one to sign it first because, I mean, it says right here he's the first one to sign.
Okay. So my inclination,
what a detective.
My inclination is a little right. Okay, so Frank Miller signed that on March 24th. WonderCon in 2016 was March 25th through March 27th. So maybe something was going on that time.
Maybe so.
And then,
but even so, if you've been to one of these major conventions and you're talking about actors and a major player like Frank Miller, a lot of things have to align for you to be able to get all those signatures.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you sign up for them, are they competing times and dates? How long is the line? Can you really guarantee it? There's so many things that go on. There's probably not another one in existence of this with a triple sign. that book triple signed by those guys.
I've seen double signed. I've seen double signed of this book, Frank Miller and John Bernthal. Which
yeah, I've seen that.
You'll see why we have this book out in a little bit, but yeah,
that's awesome. Great pickup.
Yeah, so
I'm
now I have 3 Frank Miller signed books.
I know, right? Yeah, that's one of my heroes.
And my sleeper for this week is a signature, a specific type of signature.
I can't wait.
So,
all right, okay, my turn.
Your turn.
All right, so my show and tell is one that is a classic pre-code EC, not necessarily horror, but a pre-code EC from 1952, Weird Science, issue number 16.
I remember when you got this book.
Yeah, this is one of the first like full commit expensive purchases that I made when I got back into collecting. You know, it's when this and a couple others, but this is one of the first. So much so that I remember exactly where I was. I made the decision to buy it. I was sitting at my desk on a desk in my living room, and I was watching a claim sale on Instagram, and this book popped up, and I immediately wanted it, and I'll explain why in a second. But it was one of those things where I brought my phone over and I showed it to Deb, my wife, who was in the kitchen, because I knew, okay, this isn't the kind of purchase that I should make unilaterally. This is a kind of a family decision, you know? And so I showed it to her and I explained why what I'm about to explain to you, why I think it's so great. And she was like, yeah, you should get it.
Don't you ever just feel so silly asking your wife a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. It's not like, it's a respect thing.
No, it is a respect thing. But for me, it's always just like, the thought that goes through my head is
it okay?
Yeah.
Mom,
it's like,
can I have it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, this is a comic book. And she knows, like, I know she's going to say yes. I know that it's just like, hey, this is kind of like,
yeah,
what's happening, but it does always kind of feel like hey, so there's this comic I really want.
I know
it's that part of it that always feels silly.
Yeah, you feel a little mealy to do it, but you know, over the years I've been married 30 years. Deb and I've been married 30 years, and I've got a track record of selling comics, key books, if and when I needed to. So
sure.
She's like, hey, if you think it's a good buy, if you think it's a good investment, you know, if you want it, you know, and we're still able to pay the, you know, the bills next month, go ahead, you know, kind of thing. But I know she appreciates it, you know. I don't do that with every book, obviously. That would be, you know, crazy. But big numbers, yeah, you know. Hey,
and what you spent for this, man, that's nothing compared to what you've spent now.
It's true that this book isn't, you know, is not the most expensive book I bought, but it was north of 400, so you know, so that was significant, especially back then when I was just like, am I really going to do this again? But okay, so anyway, why am I reading this book? By now, you guys probably you know my affinity for a good cover. I am absolutely a sucker for a good cover. That cover is not only is it a good cover, it's an iconic classic cover. I have a box set 3-book anthology of all the Weird Science books. You've probably seen it around. I bought it and I was really happy to buy it, but it was expensive. And then I opened it and it was all in black and white inside. It was weird. I was like, oh, okay, so I might. Anyway, it's a collectible thing, but I have it. But on the outside slipcase, it's 2 sides, and this is on one of the sides. The other side is a different cover. This cover, it's a Wally Wood cover, and if you can see the Martian right here, he kind of looks funny, and these kids are hiding behind a rock, and the classic flying saucer. That Martian has been adopted in the comic and movie now world as the Mars Attacks Martian. Like when you see Mars Attack, like remember I have that Red Sonja, it's a Mars Attacks Red Sonja, it's this weird funky thing. It has that Martian on it. When that Mars Attacks movie came out years ago, that Martian is prominently featured. It's all derived from this particular, at least that's what's believed to be derived from this comic book here. So I like it for that reason. I like it because it's got a full one-page ad, a full-page ad for Mad Comics, Mad Magazine issue number 1,
which is huge,
right? On the inside, it's got Al Feldstein stories, Bill Gaines stories. I mean, this is like this has everything about EC that makes EC classic is embodied in this book, and it's a 5.5. Cream to off-white pages. So I know you're a stickler for white pages
these days. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah, but I don't care about it much. Cream. I just don't want brittle pages.
Yeah, yeah, brittles.
Brittle would be bad. Yeah, but look at the white in the
clean.
lettering, and it's the blues are so.
The white almost looks like it was color touched.
I know, right? And the blues, the rich blues are so clean. You can see the different shading. The darker blue up here, the lighter blue. It's just it's not faded in any way. So I love this book. It was the first EC book I ever bought, and it's I think it might still be the only EC book that I own. If I'm not mistaken.
No, you got the Atomic Bomb?
Oh, right. I got the Panic Comics with the Atomic Bomb. That's right. Thank you.
Yeah.
But this one has been on this. It's in my room, my comic room. There's a shelf in there, and this one's.
I think sweet.
Yeah, it stays in the dark. No sun ever hits it. I would never let it happen. But
for sure,
I love the book. It's just. Yeah, it's probably it would take a lot for me to part with this book, but I've said that before.
Yeah.
But Weird Science 16, which means it's not really issue 16. There's some funky numbering with these ECs. It's not the 16th issue. It's earlier than that. But I'm not going to get into that right now. But anyway, great book.
Sweet cover.
Yeah, love it.
Sweet. On to news.
Yes,
we got a few. Nothing crazy. James Spader is returning as Ultron in the upcoming Vision series, which I am pumped on because I think that Age of Ultron is an underrated movie. I think the coloring of the movie is kind of what turns people off to it because it's very grayscale and there's not like a lot of flash. Like in Avengers 1, there was so much color, their suits were really vibrant, and then Avengers 2 was just like toned down a lot on color for some reason. But yeah, and James Spader killed that role. So excited to see him. Vision, the series releases 2026. Apparently this isn't a cameo, this is a full-on role. So if you're into specking, the first thing that comes to my mind is West Coast Avengers. Because White Vision is West Coast Avengers, and Ultron is tied in with that whole storyline.
Yeah.
So,
and what's is it Avengers 57, the one with the first Vision that gets the first White Vision homages? I think that's what it is.
Oh yeah.
But it's hard to say that's a spec book. It's
at this point,
it's long past spec.
Yeah. Alongside that, we got Elizabeth Olsen is reportedly set to return for an upcoming MCU project that is filming in 2025. Don't know what it is, but if the Vision series releases in 2026, means they're probably going to film in 2025, which, I mean, we'll probably see Wanda in that movie. I'm excited. I'm excited to see her. I think she Kevin Feige said in an interview after Infinity War that she was the closest to killing Thanos in that movie. And I think, I don't remember exactly what his words were, but essentially, like, without the stones, she pretty much is the one who has the power to kill Thanos, and she gets pretty close.
So she, like, her character turns dark, though. Like, she killed everybody, basically, and what was it? Something
Multiverse of
Madness. Yeah, Multiverse of Madness. Can they bring her back from that though? I mean,
because so the theory is like when the rocks fell on her when she was in the temple, and she was kind of having like her redemption moment. The rocks fell, and then there was like a burst of red, and so it was like, oh, did she use magic to escape in that moment? Like,
okay,
so it was definitely implied in the movie that like she's made it out.
She made it out, and is the public ready to embrace her again after watching her kill everybody?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
I mean,
I mean, she killed Mr. Fantastic. Come on.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, she's Wanda. Even my buddy texted me when I told you he was going through all the he said, "Stop episodes? Saying that Wanda's your favorite or your wife's favorite. You know she's hot."
Everybody needs a friend or two like that in their lives that could just call them out for what it is, or at least rib them.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna have any problem with that. So
that's hilarious.
I just want to see her back in an OP role. Like she is overpowered.
Yeah,
and I think we got flashes of that in Multiverse of Madness, but I want to see it used for good, I guess is what I'm saying.
And that's X-Men 4, right? First.
Mm-hmm. It's a book I want, but I could probably get.
And okay, so it's that one's first. Scarlet Witch is the big first.
First Quicksilver,
but also Quicksilver. Yeah,
I think there's another first in there too.
Yeah,
but maybe I'll go from FF5 to X-Men 4. Maybe I'll make that my next book.
If you're gonna do it, I mean, do it now. Well, yeah, I say do it now. So see how easy I spend your money? This is great. I'm going to make X-Men 4 my sleeper next week. That will guarantee that you'll buy it.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, and then last piece of news here is we got the first official look at Red Hulk. I'll play a little clip of it here. It looks cool. Yeah. I mean, it looks like Hulk. I mean, honestly, I know that's not saying much, but it is also saying much because we have this stupid smart Hulk.
Yeah.
So
looks like a mad, angry Hulk.
Yeah, and I'm like, I think people are tired of Smart Hulk. I think people want to see a monster.
Can I just say I was tired of Smart Hulk from day one.
Same. Yeah.
I don't want to sound like I have to watch out. I don't want to sound like I'm a Scrooge or anything because I'm all for innovation, change things up, and all that stuff. I just like my Hulk angry and smashing things.
Yeah, I think. When did he change to Smart Hulk? Was it in the beginning of Infinity War?
I'm only thinking of the comic book, when Professor Hulk shows up. But the movie.
I think it was Infinity War. But even like because I watched that Red Hulk clip with Dara, or I watched a breakdown of the animation, like how they design these characters and stuff. She was watching it with me, and she said, the Thor Ragnarok Hulk is the best because he's still Hulk. But he had a little bit of line. Like he had some funny jokes, and
Ragnarok is an underrated, or I should say underappreciated movie in the MCU.
So I think it was really, really like well loved when it first came out, and people adored it. Yeah. But then that same director, Taika Waititi, became Icarus a little bit, and he made Thor: Love and Thunder, and I think it kind of just washed out.
Maybe that's it.
Like the affection for those movies is like, okay, you made one great movie and then you just...
I know him from work. He's a friend from work.
Yeah, it's Ragnarok is good. So, Red Hulk.
Yeah, Red Hulk. Cool. Yeah, looks. There was nothing about it that made me go, oh, that's not working.
Yeah,
look good.
I didn't know this was a term, but Anthony Mackie, the actor for Falcon, the new Captain America, he said that they got the taco meat right on his chest, which apparently is a metaphor for chest hair.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I didn't know that. Thanks a lot.
So, he said something like that. But yeah, because I guess infamously, Harrison Ford has a lot of chest hair. Indiana Jones.
My wife called my chest hair a throw rug back when I was a kid.
Well, taco meat.
I wouldn't. Throw rug made me laugh. Taco meat, I would have been like, ew.
Yeah. So you can see it in the trailer. He's got the.
Yeah.
All right.
Flock to it. How do we get out of this?
We pivot now to the main conversation. All right. Did you like my my little remix of Hamlet's?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, that was great. You should just read it to him. It was really funny.
Today we're going to be talking about CGC. Mm-hmm. We're going to be talking about just grading in general. Yeah. But I think since this didn't happen when we chose this topic, but there's now Banana Gate with CGC.
Yeah, we decided to talk about just the question of to grade or not to grade, hence the Hamlet reference. And just if you're curious, Joshua wrote, he just reconfigured the entire soliloquy, not the entire soliloquy, but the first 5 or 6 lines with replacing to be with to grade. And it's just funny.
So we're going to be talking about the case for grading, no pun intended, the case against grading, the unintended consequences, the good impact on the market and the negative impact on the market. But honestly, who knows if we'll get to all those, because I feel like we're, at this point, with this Bananagate thing, now CGC has been in the hot water.
Yeah.
I feel like too many times in a short amount of time.
Yeah, this is just another one. Can we say where we saw it? Because I want to give. Just today. I think the video dropped today, but I saw it for the first time today. Was Swaggle video about Bend Gate.
Yeah.
And where it's something has been talked about, but Swaggle didn't make a video until he kind of amassed and collected his information and reached out to CGC, and he did the due diligence that he always does, and so watched the video, and yeah, I think it's definitely that video is going to start the conversation. So it's timely that we were planning to talk about CGC.
Yeah, actually yesterday I saw that live stream that he was talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw it on Instagram because I recognized one of the names, so I clicked on it and I was watching it, and then I was like, I have no clue what they're talking about. So then I just left.
Yeah.
But now I realize, like, oh, that's all. They were talking about that.
And if you haven't seen, for context, watch that video. Check that video out.
Yeah.
But in a nutshell, the thrust of it is that CGC is perhaps bending our modern books that we send in to get graded. They're the slip case, the case on the inside, interior case, the inner well. Perhaps for whatever reason, I'm not going to speculate, but it's causing the books to bend rather than stay flat. And it's not all books, according to this video. It's moderns, and not all moderns, but really just since maybe the springtime, since maybe March or something like that. So,
since potentially as a result of the other drama that they had, which was the
swapping
removal and swapping books.
So we live in a cause and effect world. So the cause and effect of that of the whole swapping and cheating the grades was we're speculating, but CGC responded to that, and they secured their cases more, but perhaps the effect of that is it's too tight and books are getting bent. But they're definitely getting bent.
Yeah,
I don't think that's in question. You pulled a book off the wall right behind you while you were setting this up.
Yeah. So I got this is the book that I showed earlier. This is so I guess this actually might refute the spring thing. I don't know. So this is Daredevil 183. This is signed by Frank Miller. I think I did a show and tell on this one before, so you guys might recognize this book. We got this signed at Torpedo Comics. Says January 5th, so that's when we got it signed.
Yeah.
And I've noticed this book for a while, and I to be honest, I really didn't think much of it. I was just like, oh, that's interesting, because I pressed this book before, but see, I don't know if you'll be able to see on the camera, but right here there's a significant noticeable.
If you just kind of do that, it's a good chance they'll be able to catch it on the reflect somewhere, because I can see it as you do that.
There's a significant crease. And I don't have pictures of the before, but you can almost see like the lines coming out. I think they were calling it like a phantom bend. So it's got like one significant one and then a smaller one. And I pressed this book before I got it signed, and it laid flat. I mean, I'm not a bad presser. I'm not a professional presser, but I'm not a.
Yeah, you're a professional presser.
So I mean, I've been known to get grade bumps, so maybe I am professional.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so I noticed that, and then started watching the video before we started recording, and he was pointing out, and I was like, oh, my book has that. So I pulled it off the wall, and sure enough, here I am. And actually, I'm gonna get close.
Yeah. It's hard to. to know if they'll be able to tell. But it's not flat.
So sorry, audio listeners, for that pause. I was putting the camera up to the, or I was putting the book up to the camera. You could kind of see it a little bit, but it looks like a banana.
Yeah.
That's where the banana gate comes from. Yeah, I mean, just kind of a bummer.
Well, yeah, it's a major bummer. If your book is do. Well, I mean, yeah, there's nothing you can do except take it out of the case. But you can't do that with a certified book because that's that. It's no longer. And if the book is irreparably damaged, i.e. a color breaking crease, then there really is nothing you can do. And then the question is, and this came up in the other video, in Swoggle video, do you just leave it in that? They say, well, it says a 9.6, but it's not a 9.6 because since it got slapped, it's actually gotten creased in the case. Yeah. That's terrible, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's interesting that book is from when we went to Torpedo Comics in Glendale, because I also got a couple books graded or signed by Frank Miller at that event, and I did take pictures of both books before I handed them over to get sent in. I don't know really why I did it. It was just more, I don't know. I just did because I thought I don't really have a receipt even. I took a picture of the receipt, took a picture of the books, and because they're giving it to a third party.
Yeah.
And so I'll take a look at mine, because one was a Dark Knight issue number 1. So that's a lot less likely to bend because of that. But the other was Daredevil 181. So I will take a look, and I'm hoping it's not bent. But if it is bent, I know it wasn't bent, and where the spine's buckling, I'm certain it wasn't, but I'll have the pictures to prove it.
What did it grade out?
9.6.
9.6, yeah.
9.6, 9.4, 9.6. I can't remember which, actually. I want to say it was 9.6.
Oh.
Yeah, well, it was. I think. Gosh, that's terrible. That's terrible that I don't know this.
But, I mean, honestly, this is kind of the general topic for conversation here is now what we'll get into is grading. Do you do it or do you not?
Oh, man.
Let me read my little Hamlet.
This is great.
Hamlet thing here. To grade or not to grade, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of overpriced books, or to take arms against a sea of scams, and by opposing end them, to slab, perchance to sell. Aye, there's the rub. For in that slab of death what sales may come, when we have shuffled off this hot key, must give us pause. There's the market that makes collecting of so long life.
That's awesome. That's so good.
I love that.
Oh, good job.
I love watching and listening to different actors do their versions and
that's
hearing
good
the
stuff,
cadence
man.
change. So
and the question hangs in the air: to grade or not to grade?
Yeah.
In the long history of comic books and comic book collecting, there have been a lot of unnatural defacings of comics. In other words, wrecking of comics that didn't need to happen, but did happen en masse. And they're now kind of part of the comic book lore. For example, there's a whole bunch of Golden Age keys out there with no covers. And that's because the nickel and dime store got some money back from the publisher if they returned them, but they had to rip the covers off to return them so they couldn't be resold. I don't really understand it, but you see that with clipping of albums too in the 40s and 50s. It's something to do with, we want to make sure it can't be resold, but we'll give you some money back, something like that. But anyway, you have a bunch of comics that or maybe it's that they didn't actually return them, but you had to rip the covers off and then they gave you money to make sure you couldn't resell them. Anyway. Now you have coverless comics. It's actually a corner of the collecting market. People buy and collect the coverless comics. So if CGC is buckling our comic books, our modern comics, I don't like it. I don't want it. it's lamentable, but in a way, it kind of takes its place in a long tradition of this is the history of comics. There will be 50 years from now, people who go, oh yeah, look, that was that era in when CGC, when people were slabbing books and a bunch of these books got bent.
Yeah.
And so then if you didn't slab your book, then your book becomes more rare because it's not, your high grade book is more rare. Or if you did slab it and it got bent and you keep it in the bent slab, does that become collectible? Like, I mean, I don't want my book bent by CGC, but it's all part of the history of comic books. Like the whole slabbing in general is part of it. I don't know. What will people think of slab books in 20, 30, 40 years? I imagine they're here to stay. But when these types of things keep happening, I wonder what will be the reality.
Yeah, I honestly, I feel like we've given CGC a lot of grace. A lot of grace.
Yes, they're messing up our books.
I think it's time to hold them accountable for it.
Well, you remember the first book I got slabbed was the Marvel 2-in-1 Annual 2 that we went to a comic shop in Southern California and got Jim Starlin to sign our books. And that's a book I carried and kept in great shape since I was a kid. I sent it to CGC. They sent it back. Comes back in 8.5. Fine. But they bent and kind of tore a part of the back cover into the inner well.
Yeah.
And I mean, certainly that wasn't there. They wouldn't have given it an 8.5. And I know it wasn't there because I know my book, right? So they messed that book up.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like giving them too much grace then.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I mean, I was not happy.
Yeah, I think so. We've had this. We have the reholder situation. I feel like there was one more that I'm forgetting.
Yeah, there is another one.
I'm sure if let me just put CGC drama into YouTube.
CGC scandals. One was the reholder.
I feel like there was one before that.
Oh yeah, there was an inside job. Remember that where people were actually stealing the books and replacing them with other books. It wasn't even a reholder. Like you'd send a book in, and somebody on the inside at CGC was stealing your 9.8 and putting a 9.2 in there.
Oh, I thought those were at the same time.
Yeah, they happened at the same time, but they were two separate scams.
Yeah, I can't.
One was an outside party tricking CGC. The other, there were some bad actors within CGC that were ripping us off.
Yeah, I can't find it, but
there's
anyways, those three situations are because they uncovered that, or at least they went public with it.
Yeah,
I'm sure they probably knew, and they were like, okay, well, if this is out, this is gonna.
They disclosed it all,
and they just kind of unveiled it all, but. That came as a result of their older stuff, right?
Yep.
Where they were like, oh yeah, also this. So I think, 3 strikes, you're out. That's just how baseball works, at least. I don't know if that's how judging businesses work or not.
So does that mean that you're talking just CGC or slabbing in general?
So here's the thing. I think slabbing needs to be here.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's good. I think it's healthy for the market, to answer a question that we're kind of planning on answering later. I think you totally have the right to not want to slab your books. I think slabbing gives you a premium because you're the whole conversation you can honestly just run in circles with this conversation. I think at least somewhat we can all agree what a 9.8 looks like. I would say that's not something that really you shouldn't be selling a raw book as a 9.8, but because you can't guarantee that, because who knows what the grader is going to think. But I think everybody can sit and look at a book and be like, yeah, that has a really good shot at a 9.8. Yeah. I think that's something that's totally fair. And then you can base your negotiations off that. You should never sell at a guarantee. You should be able to sell a slab, a 9.8 slab, guaranteed at a 9.8. Right?
You would think.
But now, CGC is kind of making that more difficult. And kind of like almost, it's ironic because it's in their name, taking that guarantee away.
Yeah, right.
Like, can I guarantee that this is a 9.6? I see the bend. I see the phantom. I see the banana boat looking thing.
Yeah.
I see the phantom bend on the spine.
Yeah.
Can I guarantee it's a 9.6? Well, I can guarantee you that when CGC put it in here, they said it was a 9.6.
But if I've got a choice of 9.6s and one's bending and one isn't, I'm going to take the one that's not bending. So they're not equal.
And this is the part in our capitalist society that is good, is you have competition. However, for some reason in our collecting corner of the hobby world, we severely undervalue other grading companies under CGC.
I agree.
Now, sure, a dude in his garage, like, okay, honestly,
Spro's grading services.
yeah, send it to me. I'll send you back a grade. I might not send you back the book, but I'll send you back a grade. I'm like, yeah, this was a 9.8. Good pickup.
Here's
Thank you.
your label.
It'll be on a yellow Post-it note.
That's so good.
But we undervalue CBCS.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny?
I do it too.
Yeah, no, I do it all the time. Yeah.
And it's silly, but it is what it is. So go ahead.
What's funny is CGC in cards is not top dog. It's not even top 2. Like when CGC grades, like
I didn't
cards.
even know. Honestly, I didn't even know they did.
Yeah. So they grade cards, so you can send in your Pokemon, you can send in your sports cards. It's not the number 1. It's not even the number 2.
I know Beckett and CG and PSA.
Those are the 2 top dogs. You know who owns CBCS? It's Beckett. A Beckett 10.0 a Beckett 10 in a card is worth more than a PSA 10.
Because they do the incremental.
Because they do 9.5. So PSA could be like,
it's halfway to a 10s, but we'll give it a 10.
Yeah, or it's like, okay, this is a 9.5. Let's just give it a 9. Let's just give it a 10, right? That's like I don't know how it actually works, but
yeah,
as a customer, that's kind of how you might feel.
Yeah, a 10 from Beckett is truly a 10. It's better than a 9.5.
Yeah. So, like the Charizard Beckett 10 is worth significantly more than a PSA Charizard 10.
And yet in comics, CGC is so far ahead of CBCS today. But like you said, maybe not for long.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of like part of the conversation you have to start talking about is like, okay, part of being in a capitalist society is you have businesses in competition with one another. And as a customer, you have the right to choose which business you want to support, which business you don't want to support. And naturally, just as with anything else, we attribute value to things. So as a hobby, we've attributed value to CGC for whatever reason. We've attributed still value, but a little less value to CBCS than all the other grading companies have not much value.
Yeah. PSA is, they just debuted at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
With their massively heavy slabs.
So
they're cool looking though, but my goodness.
They're so heavy. I know, I'll talk about it later.
Okay.
I'll tell you off screen. It's not important for this video. But yeah, so when you just objectively look at CGC and CBCS and you look at what they provide, what they do, the types of drama they've been involved in or you know, things like that, CBCS is kind of just doing their thing.
Yeah, they haven't had any scandals.
Yeah, I can't think of any scandals.
Well, you said it. It's in the name of the company. It's supposed to be a guarantee.
Yeah.
At what point do we decide I don't feel very guaranteed as a grader, as someone who sends his comic books in, but also as a buyer? You know, Like, are you going to buy a modern book in a CGC 9.8 right now, knowing that it could come back bent, rippled, and maybe even creased in the 9? I'm not.
Oh, you want to see ripple? I totally forgot about this. Look at the top, like where the Marvel Comics group is, up here. If you hold it at an angle, it's rippled, completely rippled, like waves.
What the heck? Oh yeah.
And this is a book that I personally pressed this book.
Oh my goodness! I that almost like water.
Yeah, it looks like water damage, right?
But it's not clearly. Well,
yeah.
Unless they were drinking coffee when they were grading your thing, or they are in Sarasota, Florida. It could be really humid there.
Yeah, I'll take pictures and post.
Yeah, that's freaking me out because I've got 20-something books scheduled to be graded. Now none of them are moderns.
No, seems like we're okay on that front,
but okay. But as someone who buys modern graded books, I think I've already made a change. I think I will not buy a CGC modern high grade book until this all gets settled. And maybe, I'll say, no, I'm not sure I can trust that it's really a 9.8.
Yeah. I think just like generally at some point you just kind of have to ask, like, you've been a company for 24 years, something like that, 25, like 1999, 2000.
Wow.
Yeah.
So much longer.
If you're not a young company, like compared to like, Ford, you're a young company, but like you should have your bearings set. So it's like, why are the wheels starting to fall off?
You can't be making these types of mistakes.
Quarter century.
Yeah.
Into being a business.
So, we're talking CGC versus CBCS, but also, of course, grade or not grade. And bless you.
So, yeah, I will say, when it comes to grading, I grade for a few reasons. It's a book that I really, really like, and it's a book that I plan on keeping in my collection for a long time. So that's one. 2, it's a book that has significant value to it. I'm not gonna buy the Batman 227 and keep it raw. Like,
right.
I'm gonna get it slapped because I want it protected. But there's the conversation again. Like, is it protected? Like, that's, I would say, a quarter, if not half of the reason why I would get a serious book graded, is so that it's not sitting raw in my boxes where if I'm moving or doing whatever, it's getting jerked around, a crease gets added here, a crease gets added there. It's in a slab, and I should be able to trust that when it's in that slab, it is secure and it's guaranteed to be protected.
Yep. I had, for the majority of my 40 plus years in the hobby, obviously these things weren't graded. And I didn't start into the whole grading business until the last 2 years. So I carried these books around from place to place, not slabbed. And I'll tell you what, there were some risky moments. There was a point where in our old house, the house where we lived when you met Dara,
mm-hmm.
I discovered in my bookshelf, had all my comics in the closet, but around the corner, I had a bookshelf, a lot of books. I discovered a silverfish infestation in the books. So what do you think I did? The very first thing I did, I didn't like the silverfish in my books, but do you think I really care? I turned right around the corner, ripped that closet door open, and I pulled every single short and long box out of there. And I went through and I found pieces of silverfish inside Mylar bags, because the Mylars were open. Right?
Yeah.
But I found it inside of the Mylars that folded over too. And it wasn't, I never could find any proof of like they chewed away, any part of the book or anything like that. But they didn't do my books any favors.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a case to slab. Like when you put something in a slab, like I expect that the page quality is going to stay the same because it's not getting any air. And I know it's protected from any kind of silverfish and bugs, and that's a thing.
Yeah,
at least it here is in Southern California. It's a thing. I'm sure it is everywhere. They love paper.
Yeah,
they smell it. They nest in it. They eat comic books for lunch. Think about how scary that is.
Yeah.
So there's a reason to slab it, to preserve it, to say, okay, I'm going to lock it in where it is. I'm not going to be responsible for doing any more damage to this book. I could drop it. I might crack the case, but it's very unlikely I'm going to hurt the book. If you can guarantee that the slabbing process itself does not hurt the book.
Yeah.
And there's always a chance because someone's handling your book a lot. They're going through every single page. Mm-hmm. And then they're putting it in to a very tight inner well. I mean, it's really tight, which I think is the problem with the moderns.
Yeah.
It's just too tight. I mean, that's obviously why. When they seal it, it must suck it in just enough to create too much pressure.
Yeah, it's a scary thing when I'm like cracking a slab and I have to be like very... So it's in there. It's in there for sure.
Yeah, I would be terrified to try to take something out of a slab. Just...
Yeah,
razor blade and comic should never ever be within a foot of each other.
Yeah, so I think that's it's. I mean, yesterday that was a good reason for me to grade was protection, guaranteeing that when a book goes into the slab, it should preserve that grade.
Yeah.
For I don't know if they guarantee a certain amount of years or how paper works, like the science and longevity of all that stuff, but
yeah, being airtight. I think should be good.
Yeah,
but then maybe someone will come around and say, actually, if it's airtight, that means something else. Like I don't really know.
Yeah. So CGC, Certified Guarantee Company, they couldn't guarantee inside jobs not happening. They couldn't guarantee people outside swapping books and resubmitting them for reholder.
Yeah.
And now they can't guarantee that the inner well is gonna not damage the book. So it's like at what point, genuine question, at what point do you look at these things and the issues that have stacked and you just say, I'm done?
Done slabbing altogether?
Or just slabbing with CGC?
I think or it's fair to say now would be a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody watching this, or you or I, who say, I am done with CGC, I think that's fair to say. I mean, it's always fair. It's a company. You can do whatever you want. Yeah. But like you said it, like, how much grace are we going to give here? Meanwhile, we have this other company that's been around, frankly, for almost as long, with no troubles that I've been made aware of, at least. And for some reason, we still are preferring, with our value and our dollars, the CGC. And
their technology is advanced. They don't have. This is just completely coincidental that I have this. This has Newton rings.
Yeah.
CBCS guarantees against Newton rings.
Yeah. Newton rings they don't bother me. But I suppose if I can make them go away, because I have them in some of my books too. It's just, but that's right. CBCS says no Newton rings. They straight up say it. And I believe CBCS comes with, this is starting to sound like a CBCS commercial, but I mean, CBCS comes with a UV light protection, does it not? Now that to me is very significant. Yeah. Extremely significant. That to me ought to be enough to sway me right there, because if I would love to put my comics on display, but I'm terrified to put my comics on display because I've seen what sunlight does to comics. Not in direct sunlight over a long period of time. We all know what direct sunlight will do. But anyway, the question is, will the rest of the hobby come with you, though? Like, if you do that, are you costing yourself money?
Yeah,
because
that's the question.
Right now, someone's going to pay the premium for the CGC grade over the CBCS grade. But are we at a place where that's going to pivot? Are we going to shift?
I would say right now, I probably wouldn't. I have a couple moderns that I was going to submit. Like, I have that Doom book that came out. I have Ultimate Spider-Man 1. I want to get those slabbed. I'm not sending those to CGC right now. I was going to. Probably when I got back from my trip, I'm not anymore. 100% not going to.
I sent 3 books. I only have 3. I have 3 books that I own that I sent to CBCS. All of them for signature verification before CGC ever offered it. And 2 of them are modern. Star Wars 1, signed on the splash page by Archie Goodwin, and with a little remark, he did a little self-portrait, and then Daredevil 158, signed by Frank Miller on the splash page. And I sent those to CBCS. And the other one is a Bernie Wrightson, House of Secrets 92. I was actually thinking maybe I should crack them and send them to CGC because they're working with JSA now. That's definitely out. I'm definitely not going to do that. There's no way I'm doing that. I'm grateful that they're in the CBCS slab, but I've got a stack of moderns that I was planning to send, but I'm not sending mine.
Yeah.
No, there's no way.
So what does it take? So CGC's answer before to the whole reholder swapping thing was JSA authentication. That was kind of their, the CGC signature series obviously has a lot of value to it. I think you can't debate that because somebody is there witnessing that this happened. And I think that's good.
Yeah.
It's good to have something like this.
Yes, irrefutable.
Excuse me.
Everybody accepts it.
But then the whole reholder gate happened. And people have been saying for a while, I have so many Stan Lee signatures from, like the one that you showed.
Almost always on the splash.
And it's I can't, there's nothing you can do about that as far as CGC goes. You get a green label. And you're like, well, I was the one who got it signed by Stan Lee, or I was the one who got it signed by Frank Miller in the 80s, whoever it was. And now to CGC, that book was irrelevant. And so after the reholder stuff, that was kind of their olive branch, I guess.
Yeah.
What can they do now? I mean, can they do anything now? What do you think?
Man, well, they can fix it. I mean, how about that? Get it right. But I don't know. I mean, they cost a little more than CBCS. They did take the prices down before. They could do that again. But I don't know. I really don't know, Joshua. I honestly think maybe they can't do anything because it's strike 3 in a lot of ways. This is really, it gets to the heart of why anybody would choose to slab a book. It gets to the heart of what's, if not the most, certainly one of the 2 most important components in the hobby, which is the condition of the book. You cannot return my book to me in worse shape than I gave it to you.
Yeah.
That can't happen. I understand there are human hands on it. I do know there's a risk. I'm not dumb, right? That's going to happen. But this can't it can't be systemic. It can't be because of your product, because of your packaging. I mean, I know that there are people out there who have sent books in and they just got lost in the mail, got damaged on the way back. Okay, that happens, and that's not necessarily on CGC, but this is. Yeah. This is their product.
The reholder is on CGC. The swapping books is on CGC.
Look, I
like you said, those are systemic issues.
You're asking what can they do? Well, what's the price? How much does it cost to buy my trust? Because that's really what you're at. I mean, and I don't know that you can. I mean, if I truly don't trust you anymore, then I don't think I will trust you. I'll take another route, and if the rest of the hobby doesn't come with me, then it doesn't come with me. I'm not doing this necessarily, primarily even to sell a book. I'm doing it. If I slab, it's because I want to keep the book in a nice shape and I like it. I can bring my book here and I don't have to worry about it. It's secure, whether it says CGC or CBCS, right? So, if someone will pay me 20% less because it's in a different, it doesn't matter if I don't sell it.
Yeah.
What do I care? You know what I mean?
Honestly, I feel like even at this point, it's if you have a Weird Science 5.5. Right, in CGC and CBCS, obviously you can't no 5.5 looks the same as the next, but let's say they were about as close as possible to each other, and you were selling one of them or trying to buy whatever in whatever scenario, and somebody goes, well, this is CBCS, you're asking 400, it's CBCS, it's not a valuable, I'll offer you like 340, whatever. It's like, oh, you got the weird science, okay, I'll offer you like 375, just based on like how kind of like value. I don't know if that's like actually how negotiations go down, but it typically is that you are paying less for CBCS. Mm-hmm. But now at this point, it's like, if somebody were to come to me and like, oh, well, it's CBCS, I'll give you like this. It's like, well, as far as I can tell, I can guarantee you this book is a 5.5, probably more so than a CGC. Like, obviously CGC sent the list of like books that have been affected by the reholder stuff, but it's like for a while people were like, do I even know that's a 6.0? Right. Do I even know that that's a 9.2?
And do I know it's complete? Is the Marvel stamp cut out of it? Or, whatever. Does somebody take the Mad Magazine ad and cut it and put it in a frame and it's not even in here?
And then it's like, well, the CGC one's bent, the CBCS one is bent. So it's like that guarantee that's in the name is just completely out the window. So it's like at this point, too, it doesn't even matter what anybody's like offering you. And if somebody doesn't want to pay FMV for a CBCS, the thing that you would just say is CBCS has no drama.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, exactly. It's weird, right? Because CBCS has never done anything to earn second place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To be relegated to second place here. We're more used to this label. Some people prefer this label. I like the CBCS label. I like the CBCS case better.
I like the case better too,
which is nice when you're trying to store stuff, right? It's never been an issue if I can't trust that the grade that CBCS is going to give me is the grade. In fact, I've heard retailers say the opposite. They say they don't want to send to CBCS because they think CBCS is tougher. They grade harder. They're worried about it. I remember standing in line at WonderCon, and the guy had a stack of books, and he was submitting them to CBCS, and he said that he didn't want to, but they were all Stan Lee signed on the splash page, but he's worried about how they're gonna grade him tougher than CGC. I'm like, well, if that's kind of known and it's out there, then what's going on? Like, what's the bias exactly? Is it just habit? Is that really all it is? Well, I'm just used to this. That's silly. And if that's all it is, that can turn in a minute. That's really just culture. And culture that that regard, it's just a matter of people deciding to see it differently.
Yeah.
And then the reality shifts. So I'm curious, like the slab or not the slab is a much bigger question. The CBCS CGC is an easier one to answer, honestly, because it really just comes down to money.
Yeah.
Money and perception. And the perception seems to, what's it going to take for the perception to change? CGC's veneer of perfection is long gone.
I mean, surely the perception in this room is obviously changing, but surely this isn't the only room in America where the perception is changing. Surely there's people at home in their own comic rooms thinking the same thing. So, let us know. Like, are you thinking like the same thing? Are you also like kind of hesitant with, like, is this the nail in the coffin for you? Like, is this going to make you switch to CBCS? Is this going to make you switch to just going full raw and forget about grading? Like, I can't trust anybody but myself.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
let me know.
There's a lot of raw only collectors out there, and I get it. I just bought a book this over the weekend, and I finally just said, you know what, I want to buy it raw. It was weird. I was like, I don't want to pay the premium for it to be slabbed.
Yeah.
I can look at a book and I know how to grade a book, So it's of course when you're buying using internet technology, that's where the necessity of grading comes in, because it's a guarantee. At least it's an agreed upon standard, and we say
the good thing about grading in general, doesn't matter who it is. Well, it doesn't matter who it is. I'll say the good thing about CGC and CBCS grading is you're inviting a third party to guarantee that this book is in this condition. And what's good about that is it's a protection against scams. You're protecting new collectors. You're protecting ignorant collectors on buying color touched, like somebody not disclosing that it's color touched.
Yep.
A new collector, maybe somebody saying like, "Oh yeah, this is a 7.5," but they're selling them a 5.5. Like,
just bad raw grading. Yeah.
And so the nice thing about these companies is you're having a third party unrelated to the interaction, and they're putting their stamp on these books and saying, this is what we're guaranteeing. We're guaranteeing that this book is unrestored, not color touched. Every page is there and it's in this condition. And so I think that now, for the third time, CGC's now proving themselves, for that word guarantee in their name, to be a little loose in its definition. Now it's like, now that that's gone, you're essentially losing the whole reason for slabbing a book, because now you're not protecting against these things.
Right.
And my thought, so the reason why I wouldn't grade anything modern at the moment, it seems like the Silver Age and Golden Age are fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know, let's wait a couple months and see. But I mean, that's exactly why it's like, well, how many times am I gonna, or how long am I gonna sit here and just wait for news to keep dropping? Like, I can't, I'm tired of the news. Like, and so I'm not gonna sit here and be like, well, you know, it's all right, there's CGC. And then a couple months later, something else. Yeah. It's like, well, at some point you just kind of have to be like, if the company doesn't have it together, the company doesn't have it together.
It is not cheap to slab books.
No,
it's a lot.
It costs you about like for me on average, probably about $350, $400.
When you're sending in right, exactly. And then you're paying, you're not getting it. I think about it all the time when I send a big set of books into CGC. I'm like, man, that's like $300, $400, $500 just to, I'm not getting a book for it. I'm pouring it into the hobby. It's coming out of my comic book budget, but I'm not getting a comic book for it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just getting the again, this is what it all comes back to. You're getting the guaranteed value that sits in your collection that that the market has guaranteed at these prices, because this other company guaranteed this grade. We can now guarantee this value at that book. And now it's like you're not even, you're messing with that relationship now. That's where the problem is. There's too much friction.
It's good for sellers too. I've years ago sold comics on eBay and they were all raw, and I was stressed out because I wanted to make sure that if I said it was a near mint book, that they thought they would agree with me, because it's my reputation. I way undergraded the books, and so I was getting feedback like, man, these are the sharpest raw books I've ever bought. I'm like, man, maybe I should have sold them, But no, I was happy they were happy. Yeah. Having something graded guarantees for me as a seller that I'm selling what I think I'm selling also, because most people are not dishonest people. They don't want to sell a book that they thought was complete that had a coupon cut out of it.
Right.
They would be ashamed to find out. So CGC protects everybody, or CBCS or whatever, or at least it's supposed to.
Yeah.
So I'm not interested in slabbing anything modern at all at this point. Yeah. I question whether slabbing moderns really makes sense anyway. There's so you don't get a lot for it, so it comes back a 9.8. So what? Your book's a 9.8, along with 30% of the population on CGC is a 9.8. Okay, slabbing a key Silver Age or Golden Age book, or okay, that makes sense. But if I do slab, I'm really going to consider going to CBCS though. I really am.
Yeah. Yeah. So the case for grading, protection, and a guaranteed grade that correlates directly to a value on the market. The case against grading, apparently you can't trust that guarantee anymore.
Right. Another case for grading is durability for your own storing and safety from bugs and weather and humidity and all that stuff, but not light.
Yeah. So I don't know. Let us know in the comments. What do you guys think? This is kind of a complex conversation.
Yeah.
It seems like, at least for the both of us, it's kind of, as far as moderns go, probably won't send in any Silver Age. We'll probably wait to get back what we have already over there, and then just truly, like, my thought at this moment is like, it's only a matter of time before something comes out of it. Something else comes out. Like, that's just the reputation CGC has. If I do grade any moderns, like, I have a buddy that lives like 15 minutes from CBCS. So it's like, it could just ship to him and then
he can walk them in.
Just walk them in.
CBCS takes walk-ins where CGC does not.
Yeah.
You can walk into CBCS if you happen to live in, was it the Austin area?
Dallas,
Fort Worth area. That's cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this plays out in the market. We'll see what CGC does. But yeah, let us know. Do you think that CGC can? What can they do at this point? What can they? How do they fix the guarantee? Because the guarantee is clearly not a guarantee anymore. Yeah. It's three different times they've not guaranteed something.
And what's owed to the customer whose books were damaged?
Yeah.
If that indeed is the case, this is all, I don't want to say it's speculative, because CGC has acknowledged that there's, not publicly, but they just watch the Swaggle House video and you'll see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'll just say this. If it comes out and they admit culpability for damaging some people's modern books, knocking them from a 9.8 to a 9.2, what's the remedy for that? Are you going to give them money back? Are you going to replace the book? Are you going to give them like a year's worth of free grading? Would they want it? Like, there's a lot, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to like slander CGC until the story is complete, but this is more than a hypothetical. This is not the first two scandals are not hypothetical. This one is also not hypothetical. We're going to hear from them in an official way soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So it's not good.
No.
It's not good. I'm not happy about it.
No, as a customer who has paid north of a couple $1,000s just to get books graded, I'm not happy about it, and I won't be giving them any more money, at least in the foreseeable future. And I'm gonna go look through the rest of my moderns to see if I have anything else that's warped. Because if I do, I'm gonna take pictures. I'm gonna take note of it, and I'll be ready for whatever they say.
Me too.
Be ready. So.
Yeah, you guys should too. But let us know, slab or not to slab, and if your confidence is shook by this, like mine and Joshua's is, what would it take?
Yeah,
if anything.
Can they buy back your love? So, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening. We're headed off to the membership Patreon version of the podcast.
Yep.
So if you want to listen to that, hit the join button. Spotify listeners, I guess you got to come to YouTube to hear the rest, but we appreciate you guys listening over there. Yeah. There are some of you guys.
Absolutely.
See you guys, so
yeah.
Thanks so much. I think you can comment too. So if you can comment on Spotify, comment.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Say hi. And I don't know if I can respond to you, but if I can, I will.
Yeah, sure.
So thanks guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right, thanks.
So then you lose out on the consignment, you lose out on shipping, and you have to have competitive pricing.
I was going to say, you don't have true autonomy as far as what the price is. I mean, these sites want to be competitive.
Right, exactly, because it's your book, but it's their reputation.
Yeah, fair.